We're good. There you go.
Oh, here we go. Hello, everybody. Again, we're back with Courtside with Christy and Gabe right here on the Her Hoop Stats Podcast Network. We have Dano here as well. I am Christy Winter Scott, and we will get things going. So many games today, fellas, and a lot of WNBA hoops to dissect and discuss. Where do you guys want to start?
Well, so we should mention that anybody watching this that was watching the last stream, you're not tripping like we did have to restart this whole thing.
It's a restart.
It's fine. It's no one's fault. We can never find out. I mean, you have to go up the chain. We can't find out whose fault it is. But
it's not mine. I know that.
It's definitely not Christy's fault.
Anybody else's.
But yeah, so we're gonna just hop in and talk about the aces as we were talking about, and then maybe get into the Lynx, the Mystics, the other games today, because it was a mega Sunday. I mean, we had 6 games. It was honestly hard to keep track of everything. So we're gonna have to get into it. But let's start with the aces, as they are starting now to pull away from the Dallas Wings in the game that we were just talking about. They are now up by 9 points. Kelsey Plum has 24. We just talked about how great this team has been all season, and we were gushing about Chelsea Gray and Alicia Clark. And, we kind of got into the discussion about A'ja Wilson being the MVP. I kind of want to get back to that discussion just to talk about it really quick and get your takes on it, because apparently there was some, Dano explained that the betting markets were kind of having Brianna Stewart be ahead of A'ja Wilson in terms of the betting side of things. To me, that didn't make much sense because the Aces are 22-2 and she's the best player on the team. But Christy, what's your take on A'ja Wilson being the MVP?
What you just said, best player on the best team. I don't know what the discussion is. And I'm sure there's a discussion because everyone will have their opinion and, the apples and oranges of it all. But at the end of the day, what A'ja Wilson has been able to do has been amazing. Number one, you take her off that team and things change for the Aces, period, point blank. Okay. And that's no shade to Candace Parker being injured right now. First of all, she played with that fractured foot for most of the year. We didn't even know. But she's had surgery and hopefully she'll be back. I mean, that window is 8 weeks, maybe postseason, who knows, but sending good vibes and prayers out for her speedy recovery and full recovery for her. But when you're talking about A'ja Wilson, what she does, not just offensively, but what she does on defense, man. I mean, she changes what the Aces are able to do as an anchor for their defense. So let's not get it twisted. And this is not shady to Jewel Lloyd, who's leading the league in scoring, okay, on the 12th place team. This is not shady to Stu York, wherever you want to call it. I love every single player in the league. When you're talking about who is the MVP, though, today, it's A'ja Wilson, and I don't think there's a question about it. Then that doesn't mean that no one else is good. I think because people take that and hear that as being such a drastic opinion, which I am allowed, okay? But people think that's such a drastic opinion. And that's like throwing everyone else away. And I'm like, no, you respect the best player on the best team for what they do for their squad. And I think she is just an entity for this team that can't be measured statistically. Her presence alone changes what teams do on both sides of the court, period. And that's your answer. Dano?
Yeah. I think, and again, it's not, best player on the best team, that could be your voting method. And I think that's totally fair
that could be
for a number of different reasons. This is the best player on, a team that's 22-2, looking like they're about to be 23-2. And we're going to have a discussion about whether it's the best team ever if they continue on this pace, because they're just mowing people down, as actually Kelsey Plum seemed to get a little nicked up here in a 7-point game with a minute 28 left. But Dana, what's your take on the MVP situation?
I mean, a lot of echoing what Christy said. As someone who lives in New York, at most Liberty games, season ticket holder, proud of that. I love Stewie, love her. She's great. But there's been too many times this year where I feel like the inefficiency isn't there. I know the numbers show it, and it's skewed because of some of these enormous games. The 45 against the Fever, 35 the other night against, I'm forgetting. But I still just don't feel like – I don't remember the last time I had a bad Asia Wilson game. Like
they don't exist.
Like she's so consistent. She's adding things to her game. The jump shot gets better and better. She's finishing with both hands. She had 6 blocks in the first half tonight.
Talk to me.
I would love for the voters to not get the voter fatigue thing and award a back-to-back MVP. So I'm talking from the perspective of seeing how they could think, not just you, Christy, but some others. Maybe if the Sun get frisky and get a second seed, and Alyssa Thomas averages a triple-double, which hasn't been done in the WNBA, maybe that's grounds for an MVP. I think there's a lot of narratives, but
sure,
the conversation has to be centered around Asia Wilson at this point, though. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and I think voter fatigue is honestly a silly thing. Like the person who's the MVP should be the MVP. It's and like you're saying, like, hey, if the Aces fall off a little bit, maybe maybe they don't keep going down the stretch, and this season is a little bit longer, right? We got 40 games, so there's a chance that they're not at this torrid pace all season, and I would not bet on that. But if they do fall off, then yeah, there's more of a discussion, and Stewie has a great argument. In a normal year where there's not this team, there's a discussion definitely be had between Stewie and Asia, but the team success for the Aces is out of control. I mean, they just look, I don't know, they wanted this game. I think they're a little miffed that they let Dallas back in this game. Almost as miffed as YouTube is for us showing us game. But they are really taking a lot of pride in the way they're playing and how they're beating teams, and they don't just want to they want to let you know. And this is a team that just have that swag. I mean, I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, and I'm not sure how many college football fans we have around, but if you heard about the U in the 80s, this kind of has this kind of swaggery feel where we have all these players who are talking trash, who are adding things to their game, who are doing ridiculous plays, not just Asia Wilson, but I'm thinking specifically of Chelsea Gray. We talked about all her behind the back passes.
Outrageous.
I mean, that's swag and winning. Actually, it's confidence and winning. And when you combine those two, that's what means swagger, at least when we talk about the Miami Hurricanes. And I think that's what happens with the Aces. Like, you get that swagger from having the confidence and then understanding when to deploy it. This team, to me, I don't see how, without injury and let's just hope there's no injuries, because injuries are terrible and I don't want to see any of them anymore. I don't see, and they already have an injury. They the super team player that they signed, Candace Parker. She's out for a good stretch of this year with that stress fracture, as you mentioned. And so, if they stay healthy, I just don't see how you beat them, because where's the weak link when they have their 5 best players on the court?
Right. I mean, I also have Alicia Clark, who I love. AC is like one of my favorite people that plays in the league. I think she has stabilized them, bringing her 2-ring prowess to their roster as well. I mean, obviously the Aces won last year, but when you add another champion to the mix, obviously Candace Parker winning 2 titles as well, and that kind of leadership, that kind of vocal leadership. I know Alicia wants to get into coaching, or she did when she was with Washington. Maybe that changed now, but I know she had said that before. So just to have that kind of leadership and that vocal leadership, right? There's a lot to that, especially with Parker being out. But the way that they are just solid in every facet of the game. I mean, kudos to Becky Hammond for coming in and just, again, applying her philosophy for this squad and just coming in and taking that bull by the horns, if you will, and saying, this is how you win. And won it last year in her first year as a head coach in the WNBA. It's just amazing that they've been able to carry that forward to this season. A lot of pressure when you've won it before. Like, can they do it again? right? That's like the end of, the be all end all for winning a title is, can you do it again? Like, okay, you did it once, come back and get it. So I just think that for the Las Vegas Aces, it's going to be really interesting to see if they can sustain this level of effectiveness and balance on the offensive end. I mean, what do they have? 4 players averaging in double figure scoring. I mean, that's tough to stop. That's tough to stop if you're talking defensive philosophy and schemes, when they have so much size and so many different ways to attack you. And Chelsea Gray's ability to get 10 toes down in the paint, draw you to the ball, and then miraculously somehow just get the ball to somebody and they knock in a 3. I mean, it's fun basketball. It's just beautiful basketball when it comes to making plays and playing like a team.
And I mean, they have the best sets in the league too. I mean, it's easy to run good sets when you have all these great players, right?
Yeah.
Makes every coach look like a genius, but it's just so impressive how they're playing. Yeah. And hey, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think about A'ja Wilson's MVP case, about her Defensive Player of the Year case, about how this team is playing right now, and just the impressiveness of them. I do want to flip over though to the other side of this game. So the Wings lost. This game is now over. I believe the final score was 103-91. Just really impressive. But I think it was kind of equally impressive that the Wings were able to come into this game, get kicked in the mouth, because that's what happened in the first half. They got kicked in the teeth. They got down by 20. And against a team that really, really wanted this game in particular as a revenge game for one of their 2 losses of the season, to come back in the third quarter, play their guts out, show that they can compete with this team, and just kind of, in the fourth quarter, you're playing a great team in their house. They're probably going to pull away if you don't have all the great shots going in. And look, it took a Herculean effort from the Aces. You have A'ja Wilson with 22 points, Kelsey Plum 28, Chelsea Gray 27. That ain't going to happen every night. Well, for them, it may happen every night. But Dano, tell me what you think about this Wings team. I know you did a whole podcast on them, and you should go check it out on the Her Hoop Stats podcast feed. But recap what you think about them and what you took away from this game.
This game showed me some pride. It's not easy, especially playing the Aces when they have revenge on their mind. People forget only 2 teams have beaten the Aces so far, and it hasn't happened at home. But I think, Becky's the type of coach that probably used that as motivation, which, I mean, I think she's one of the best in the business. She's been incredible. But you can tell from the way the Aces came out, they were amped. So it's hard to play in that environment, to cut it to 2, give yourself a chance. Super impressive. I spoke before about the size and the differential and the style of play. I did not expect Tierra McCowan to have 25 and 15 tonight. That's crazy. Against A'ja Wilson and Kia Stokes, who's, we didn't say her name at all, but she's quietly been really fantastic in stepping up in her role. And the Aces are one of the best rebounding teams in the league, and to still get out rebounded by the Wings by, I think 15 tonight, that's something to be proud of. So like I said before, I don't want to play if I'm any other team, I don't want to play the Wings at all. I just think they have too many weapons. They're too versatile. Pose way too many matchup problems. And Coach Trammell's really finding her way in the identity of this team. This could have easily been a letdown spot. You've got a player coming off her first triple-double ever, I think the second in franchise history. You blew out the Mystics at home. You're in Las Vegas. I know I don't do well in morning or, the next day after a night in Las Vegas. So, I'm proud of this Wings team. I labeled them America's team last week. I just feel like they just have great vibes. So I bought all the stock already. I'm not selling.
Well, and you look at this the Wings team, and I just want to go through the box score really quick because you mentioned 25 and 15, right? I think that's the final line.
That might be it. I was
20. The NBA service says 25 and 14. So maybe they shorted her a rebound, but we'll get to it. But so you look at the effort though, 19 points from Sabally, 13 and 11 from Natasha Howard. Arike Gumbawai, 14 points and kind of a subpar effort on her part for this year. And a subpar effort for Arike Gumbawai is really good. 6 of 18 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3. And hey, a couple of those fall, and you look at this game completely differently from the beginning. So I think the Wings really have an opportunity here they're taking that next step, right, Christy? Like we talked about them preseason. We were talking about teams that maybe taking the next step. They seem to stick out as the one that needed to this year with Satu, with Arike, and Satu's been available. This team has come together. Their trades are looking really nice and working out. So, hey, their draft picks, the draft stuff, skip over it, skip to the next page, and look at what's happening. It looks like a great set of moves and making this team into what could be a contender.
Yeah, they're forming the chemistry.
I do have
go ahead.
I have a question for you, Christy. So, how do you see Satu as like a case for most improved? Like, because we don't really know about last year because she just wasn't healthy. Like, don't get me wrong. I think if there's a short list, probably be on it. She's probably in the top 5 for MVP, maybe, but how do you value just like health and being available?
I mean, that's what some of the best players have said, right? Across genders and leagues and everything, that the best ability is availability, right? And so,
love that quote.
Yeah. But for Satu, I just think that, she is such a young player, right? And the fact that she's healthy now and she's been able to get games under her belt, I mean, that makes a difference, not just here in the WNBA, but overseas as well, and get those invaluable in-game reps. I mean, it really changes who you can become as a player. I remember when I was playing overseas, like from the first year I played over there to the last year I played over there was a big difference. And there are 3 years in between that. But I think there's like this confidence level because you understand who you are as a player. And it was totally different in college. Like for me anyway, it's totally different because you kind of just, you go in there, you're 18 and then you leave, you're 22. And then all of a sudden you're a pro and you have to kind of learn things all over again. So I think the fact that she's been able to just become competitively mature in her role for the Dallas Wings, obviously a player for them that is a bookmark or a benchmark and who they want to build around. So when you have Satu Sabally playing the way that she is, yes, I think she's definitely on the list for most improved. Will she be that? I'm not sure because there are so many players who have been getting it done this season. And I mean, you can even, and I know I keep throwing Jewel Lloyd's name out here, but I mean, even for her to have a totally different role for Seattle in the absence of Sue Bird, who retired, obviously, in the absence of Stewie, who's now in Stu York with you, Dano, as a season ticket holder up there with the Lib. But I just think that, there are so many different factors and it just depends on what you want most for that award, like what it means for you criteria wise to choose who you choose. But right now I could definitely see Satu Sabally being in the top 3 for most improved and on a short list for that award because, not just being healthy, but her maturation process as a player, her maturation process as a role player on the same team with the new coach, right? There are all kinds of factors that have layers to it for her, for me. But I love watching her play. I love watching her at Oregon. I love watching her continue to grow her game. It's just really been fun to watch.
Love that.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like those two names, like for most improved. I mean, there are two names that are great, right? Because you're right. Jewel has changed your game completely
different
and made it better. And then you look at, hey, maybe even a Kalia Copper can be thrown in this mix in terms of that. But it's also like, I don't know, doesn't it feel like Jewel Lloyd's a little too good to be most improved? Because I feel like
you can always get better, man. And look what she's doing. I know the team's not doing well, but dang, man, she's leading the league in scoring in a new role. Like she's taken that role and said, I'm going to own it. And with her Mamba mentality, rest in peace, Kobe, but with her Mamba mentality, she's been able to show herself full on. And, it's just been so authentic to me to watch her play the way that she's been playing. And they're not winning games like she wants to. I know that's the end all for her, for sure, and her mental makeup and her way her heart's set up. But I just think that she's really proven herself in a different role in an amazing way.
It's yeah, I can't even think of because it's just a really good case. It's a really good case for Jewel, and it's a really good case for Satu. It's just tough for Satu too, because what are we comparing her to? And it's Dano's point that hey, she could be most improved, but are we comparing her to what she could have been last year, what she was last year? Because if you extrapolate what she was doing last year, you probably get something similar to what she's doing this year. I mean, not obviously not all-star starter. She wasn't that last year, but she was pretty close if she had stayed healthy for the entire year. Sure. We're probably talking about her in that same vein. So that's a really interesting award this year, and honestly, that's one of my least favorite to do because
I mean, you can go with who scored more points than they did last year, but then
come on, that's
play any games. So
Chris, I don't do points.
I have two players that I love for it too, and I literally can't wait to talk about one of them. So I'll say her second. The first is Jordan Canada, who
that was a great one.
Been fantastic. Been on my list for that all year. But the second, who talk about kind of fits every narrative you can. And I don't hear her name being brought up a lot for this, but new role, new coach, new team, and asked to do so much. Brittany Sykes.
Hey, I was about to say Brittany Sykes.
What? I'm not mad about Slim being in that conversation because she's a flat out dog. Okay, she's a flat out dog. 6 steals today with 25 points. Stop it. That's what we were talking about previously, right? There's no two-way player about Brittany Sykes. She's one way, and that's to your guts. She's gonna play so hard. She's gonna take whatever confidence that you thought you brought with you in your bag, in your backpack when you came into the game, dressed to the nines. I love everyone's dressed up for the games too, and their own personal styles is very cute. But hey, listen, she's going to get down in those bags and take everything that you brought in there and take it out. I mean, she's just so thorough with what she does defensively. Yeah. I mean, just tactically sound. Like today, she got past someone and got underneath them and plucked it clean. I'm like, who does that consistently without fouling? Yeah. It was amazing, her display of defense today. And she did it at Syracuse. She's doing it now. And, to be in a new role, new coach, and 25 points to go along with 6 steals. I can't. I can go on and on about Slim.
Yeah, where did the 3-point shot come from? Who'd you work with? You in the side in the gym, Gabe, working with her or what? I don't know.
I don't do shooting, buddy. That's not my thing.
No, but she's always been a great 3-point shooter.
She's been really up and down.
Yeah,
but she's not been a liability from 3. She has been a pretty good 3-point shooter. But again, it goes back to what teams that she's played on and what they needed from her. Right? Yeah. They didn't need that when she was with Atlanta. She was there for 3 years. They didn't need that from her in LA. They needed her to get to the rim. And that's what she did in LA. And now it's like she's here and it's like, oh my God, all of a sudden now she shoots 3. No, all of a sudden, the way this team plays and the spacing that's provided, she's shooting 38% from range, which is great.
Yeah. I'm scared of her every night.
Tiger brings up a point that I want to mention. He says Slim is underrated in this league. And I'm looking at these numbers, and I'm with you guys on the most improved conversation, but they're just not that different from what she was doing in LA last year. I mean, you look at her points per game. She has 14.5 this year. 12.7 last year. And look, we're and considering our timing right now in terms of where the Mystics are and how much she's being asked to do, I think that factors in huge. You can't just look at the season numbers because what she's been able to turn it up and try to keep the Mystics afloat in this time where it's just been really tough with 3 starters injured. She's been keeping them in games almost single-handedly. I think that has to be taken into account. But when you look at the season overall numbers, 14.5 points this year, 12.7 last year, 43.3% from 3 from field goal this year, 43.3% last year. From 3-point last year, this is the big change, 26.9% this year, 33%. I don't think that factors in today's game where she was really good. So it might go up just a tick more. So we're talking about 34%, which is huge. It's a huge difference going from 26% to 34% 3-point shooting. But the steal numbers are similar. The assist numbers are similar. She's rebounding a bit more. But maybe it's a retroactive most underrated award for Slim.
That's
because look, she is doing the thing that she's always done. She's just in better positions. And I think that goes to Christy's point in terms of what the team needs from her. Mm-hmm. She's in better positions, not necessarily at this exact moment where the Mystics are missing 3 starters, but she's in the spots where she's going to get more open threes, where she's being asked to just go after the ball because she'll have help behind her. She has 2 other elite defenders with her, which she's never had in her career before, where she doesn't have to be doing everything. She can kind of be freelancing a little bit more when all 3 of them are healthy. So I love the Slim MIP discussion. Yeah. But Lord knows she's just a baller. She's been like this. She is that type of player, and that comes down to that attitude that I think Christy talked about, and it fits right in with the Mystics. Just unfortunately, right now, this team is just so injured that it's not translating into wins.
I need them healthy. I want to see what the ceiling could be, because you saw flashes of it. Definitely saw flashes of it. I feel like they were still finding their identity through a good stretch. Mm-hmm. I think that first half at the Liberty was the scariest version of that Mystics team I could possibly imagine. And of course, that was the Shakira hip game. Mm-hmm. Ariel Atkins finally was finding her stroke from 3 that game. Gosh, that was scary. That was the Barclays was really quiet. I'll say that.
I remember that, man. I remember, I think it was June 25th. And I think Atkins hit 6 threes in that game, if I'm not wrong. That's just off the top of my head, but I think that's what it was. But when Shakira also went down, with that non-contact hip situation, that was scary. And then Delle Donne went out. She came back after missing a couple games with the left ankle and then rolled it again. And hopefully after this stretch, they have another week before they play until Friday. So, nothing etched in stone, obviously, for anyone's return, including Christy Tolliver, who's missed 16 games. 16 games for Tolliver, that she hasn't been on the court for them. So I think once people start coming back, I think Natasha Cloud said it best after the Minnesota game. She said, hey, the way everyone's been playing, Troy Kimbrough, Tiana Hawkins, there can't be any change when everyone comes back. Okay, I've been going 1,000 miles an hour. Now everybody's back, so I'm going to let off. No, you still have to continue going 1,000 miles an hour when everyone comes back into the fold. And it's one thing you can't control, which I hate, is health, right? But for Washington, they've been able to fight hard, even in spite of not having a lot of rotational pieces at the moment.
And to your point about Tiana Hawkins in today's game, 17 and 10. And that just makes me so happy because, Christy and I both cover the Wizards. And, throughout the season, I can maybe count on one hand the times that I was there for Wizards practice, and immediately after Wizards practice, Tiana would not be there. She was working every day with the coaching staff, putting in a ton of hours to get better, to make sure that she was healthy for the season, make sure she was in shape for the season. Now she's contributing in this time where it's really tough, and her role is not going to be the same. She's gonna have to take a step back. But with Myisha Hines-Allen struggling the way she has been this year and then last year with the injuries, to have Tiana in this playing like this and being able to say, hey, we feel good about our backup 4, and it's Tiana. That's huge for this team. And I think it puts them more into that category where they were in 2019, where you had some depth. And, depth's being tested right now in a big way. And you got some people who are being asked to do different things and maybe being asked to do too much, and they can't bring it every single night. That's a difference between the most legendary players in this game and the merely really good players in this game, is the ones who can bring it every single night. Yeah. But when you are in that role that the Mystics want Tiana in, that the Mystics want Shatori in, they don't have to necessarily score 17 points every night. they can just bring that 17-point performance, and they can bring it in a 15-minute package. You're looking at a really strong team. So I'm just really excited for that, for when they get healthy. I think, I want to talk a little bit more about this game also from Atlanta's perspective. But Chrissy, I want to talk to you just a little bit about, so we talked about the good things going on for the Mystics. We should, talk a little bit about the stuff that hasn't been going quite as right. I think, today Natasha Cloud, I tell my players this: don't try to grab the game so hard. 2 for 11, just trying to hold on, white knuckling the game, and she just it was so hard. Everything felt so hard for her, and it's kind of not been an easy going season offensively for her. How do you think she gets back on track?
I mean, she's had some bright spots offensively, but I think, as a coach too, I mean, sometimes you just say, let the game come to you. And for everyone else, that's a pretty blasé statement, because it's all relative to how you hear that and how you apply that. But sometimes you do have to go get the game. And Tasha's a go-getter. Like she's going to go get the game, okay? Especially being point guard, especially being someone in the top 5 in assists this year after leading the league in assists with 7 last year. So she's a conductor. She's an organizer. There were several times in the game today against Atlanta where the composure of Natasha Cloud really was shining through. And maybe she wasn't the one to score the ball, but the team scored because of her composure. So there's a way that she impacts the game. And today it wasn't with her scoring prowess, right? On Friday, she was 3 of 13 and missed all 3. She shot 4 threes and missed all of them, but she was still able to score 11 points because she got to the free throw line and she set up her teammates. So there are other things that Natasha Cloud can do to impact the Mystics, especially, with different faces, with other players on the court that she doesn't have the chemistry with, and the timing and all of that makes a difference. So some of the passes today were kind of out of character for Tasha, but I think it was just the timing of things. So there's no time to practice. You have games every other day. You're traveling on the days that you're not playing, right? And I'm not bringing out the violin, and Gabe, that I don't do that, right? But
they're not doing it either.
They're not doing
Natasha's not doing that.
Not at all. None of them. And it's just the reality of the situation is consistency, right? And that's all about the mentality, but it is also about what's currently happening, right, with the team and who she's currently playing with. And that's not a slight to ability, but it does make mention of the chemistry piece, right? Especially if you're a rhythm player like Natasha Cloud. She wants to go like this because she wants to grab hold of everyone being organized and set up in the proper spaces, right? And that's a big job. That's a big job to do. So I'm not going to be as critical of Tash. However, I've never been a point guard, so I don't know. In my mind, I've never been a point guard. So for me, I've coached point guards though, right? And so I know that they can be really trying to press, right? And when I say press, it's like, I've got to make this play happen for the team, right? And sometimes there is a force that you need to kind of just organically feel your way through, right? And if the play breaks down, like there were a couple times today where the plays were breaking down and the shot clock was at 3, 2, 1, and you pull the pin out of the grenade, toss to somebody, and it's a rushed bad shot mechanically, and they don't score, they don't get the offensive rebound, so it's a bad possession. So that gets frustrating and that gets heavy because that is the responsibility of the point guard. So when you don't get quality looks or quality possessions, everyone's looking at Tosh, but it's a collective effort where everyone needs to be where they're supposed to be. Okay. And chemistry is supposed to be set up. And when you don't have that, it gets frustrating. And I feel Tosh in that. Right. And I know she wants it. And like you said,
that much is clear.
She's white knuckling the game. And but I'm not mad at the fact that she's white knuckling the game. I want her to be that force for them from the point guard spot. I think she's at her best when she is bringing that composure to the group.
And seven of her misses came. 7 of her 11 misses. 7 of her 9 misses today came in the paint. One of the reasons that is because teams feel a lot more comfortable helping off of Maisha Hines-Allen and Tiana Hawkins, even though Tiana had a great game. They feel more comfortable helping off of them than they do Errol Atkins. So suddenly, when you get into the paint and you have Elena Deladon out there, you have Ariel Atkins out there. Hey, we're right in front of the rim. That's an easy bucket. Well, suddenly now there's 2 or 3 people around you.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I beat my. Usually, if Natasha Cloud beats her assignment, she's at the rim, and there's one person coming, and that's an immediate kick out.
Yeah.
In this situation, it's like I go up, or there's like 4 or 5 people around me. That pass getting tipped, and I think I always say this is my favorite thing to ever talk about is quicksand. Right, one thing goes wrong, another thing goes wrong. Things keep going wrong. They cascade. Suddenly, you're at the end of the game, and you're like taking a crazy shot, and you don't even know why.
Right.
And it's like and I think that frustration boiled through, and hopefully, it will stop when the team gets healthy. And Tosh, she's obviously gonna be fine. One game is not gonna make or break her season, but it was I wanted to grab her and be like, it's okay, like you don't have to do so. You don't have to win this game on your own.
Bring it though, and she wanted to bring it, and that's hard, to take it away. I mean, she's such an incredible competitor, right? Yeah. And it's hard. You can't turn that off. Like if you're set up that way mentally, man, it's hard to like, okay, let me just let the game unfold. That's easier said than done. I don't care. I've been around Tosh, from college on, from her freshman year when she was at Maryland, right? To now just seeing her evolve as a pro. I don't know 100% about Tosh, but I know what I know about her from the outside looking in. And I mean, she wants to win, man.
Yeah.
And she could get 0 points, but shoot and just not have success. But if she has more than 5 assists again, I mean, she'll take that for a dub. I know that about Tosh.
In this game, if she had a 2 of 11 performance and Elena Deladon's on the court and Ariel Atkins on the court, they still might win this game because Atlanta then put them away. And I want to go to Dano for that because we talked about this during the game of why it was surprising that, because we view Atlanta, if we're talking about where Atlanta sees themselves, they see themselves as a playoff contender, a team that can win a playoff round. I thought today, we had a different view of what was happening for them, and they get the win, but I think me and Dano both had the same problem with what we were seeing from Atlanta.
I am not going to be nice about it. Atlanta, I see them, and I just see the F word, not the bad F word, the fraud word.
Sunday now. What'd you say?
Fraud.
Oh, okay.
The legal F word.
I am so displeased with where this team could be. And I think there's some blame to go on the coaching and the scheme.
Uh-oh.
But there's a lot of talent that, I mean, this team could easily be way under 500. Like, if Ryan Howard didn't go crazy for 2 weeks after being snubbed for an All-Star, this team is we're talking about them with the Seattles and Indiana. They got a couple wins in good spots on the road, just like the Lynx did, where they went and beat New York and Connecticut back to back. Teams can do that. You can steal a couple, but they just rely so much on Ryan and Alicia to get things done and asking role players to hit shots when they get opportunities. The defense has been pretty subpar all year. They had their win streak, played 0 teams above 500 after they beat the Mystics, which a few calls go a different way. That's a different game. The coffee charge on Elena Deladon that she got hurt. Bad call. That game, I had the Mystics winning that game. I remember the losses more than the wins for myself. But I just it's too much standing around. And I mean, you're doing a dribble drive offense, which I think it's like, okay, I know they're professional basketball players, but teams can scheme against that. Against a Mystics team who's injury depleted, everybody's tired. This is the third game of a road trip, Minnesota, Dallas, Atlanta. This team is exhausted, and you can't put that team away. Like, I don't know. I don't leave that game being like happy. It's like more so we survived.
Yeah. And I think so. Atlanta's sixth in defense, sixth in defensive rating. Their defense has been a little subpar. And I think one of the things that was in my notes, and to your point about the half court offense, is pretty much everything they got was in transition. So there were stretches where, hey, when the Mystics could make shots, it was a completely different game when the Mystics were making shots, when the Mystics weren't rushing, because there was points at this game where the Mystics were rushing to get shots and they made them, and then there would be a rush on the way back, and that's where Atlanta scored. But their half-court offense struggled mightily, which kind of makes sense. You know, you look at the Mystics; they have the two of the best defensive guards in the league, so it's not that surprising. But they were able.
Wait, hold on. Better than Sabrina and Vandersloot? No, just kidding.
Get out of town.
I didn't say nothing. Hey, y'all, I didn't say anything.
We love Sabrina.
My team.
We love Sabrina around here. We really do. And we love Vandersloot.
I stand for both those women. I can't get enough. Like but yes, go on.
It's a different defensive level. No, but so they bottle up Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard I think she had what, Chrissy, like 10 points in the first quarter, and then she ended up with 11. Is that right?
Yeah. They quieted her down a little bit. I think she, like, to your point, Dano, I mean, she was getting a lot of their offense, or she was getting a lot of her offense in transition. I mean, there was one time she came down and just stopped on the dime and pulled from three in that first half. So, I mean, I think Washington did a good job of disallowing her that kind of rhythm, especially from three. But at the same time, I think Tanisha Wright is trying to get things together. And I know for a fact, like, you can have, as a coach, and I know, and Gabe, you can speak to this too as a coach, okay? Schematically, you can say, this is what we're running, okay? I know I'm because I see your face. Look, this is what we're running out of this timeout, okay? And whether it be a breakdown from one piece of that puzzle that zigged instead of zagged, and I'm like, we can't get it, right? So now we can't get that play because someone's asleep, right? But it could also be all five of your kids are on the same page. We're running our set, and the defense takes the first two actions away, and now we're lost.
Yes.
So there are a lot of components to execution that need to be considered, because it's not like Tanisha Wright has her playbook and her staff, they have their playbook, all right? But it comes down to execution. So it could be a matter of focus or lack thereof, right? But it could also be, hey, you're not playing against teams who don't watch film, right? They're taking away your stuff. So now what you have to feed your team is counters to what we had planned to do, right? Okay, if they play it this way, if they play underneath the screen, this is how we're going to do it. If they do something else, if they go over top and stay locked in over top, then this is what we're doing. So you have to give A, B, and C plan. And you're going to have to be schematically sound as an offensive player on the floor, one of the five pieces of the puzzle. You've got to be ready to make those moves on the spot. And if not, the play breaks down. Now all of a sudden, you look disorganized. Now all of a sudden, you look disjointed. And now coach doesn't run the play right. And I'm like, no, I'm standing up for the coaches right now, because, look, there's so many things that could go wrong on the floor. Besides, me calling out, horn set. Okay, hey, we're going horns down. And they take the first two things away from what you want because they've watched film. Now we're at the second half of the season, so there's plenty of film out there. Now we're going to take it away. Now let's see what you do. What's your counter to this? And now
there is no counter. There is none.
Well, right now, but now
I know I'm a big hater. I get
it.
But
it's personnel too, right?
You got to be able to move mentally. And it's got to be quick. And, now the next team that sees these new counters that are going to be put in because they didn't have it, right? But now all of a sudden they watch film. They're like, hey, they took those two away. This is what we can do. And guess what? The next team is going to take the third and fourth action away. Mm-hmm. Now what are you going to do? It's people don't think of it that way. People just look at it and try to just see, what the play is supposed to be. And then when it blows up, because the defense blew all the actions up, now they're running around with 3-2-1 on the shot clock with no good shot.
Yeah,
it's about defense too.
But that's happening too often.
Washington's one of the best defensive teams.
I know, but it's happening against every team. Like the degree of difficulty on some of these shots, like it's got to be taxing on Ryan and Alicia. Like, they shouldn't have to work that hard. You have way too much talent. You come out of the All-Star break. You bench Cheyenne Parker. If there's something internally that you can't speak about, fine. She's clearly out of rhythm. I dislike a lot of what I see. I think Nia Coffey gives you a lot when she's playing well. Defensively, she brings it every night, probably.
Yeah.
Offensively, you probably need her in a rhythm. You're getting Ari back. That's great. I still just I see this team. I don't like what I see. I like the way that I'm fearful of the healthy Mystics and I'm fearful of the Wings. Zero fear with the Atlanta Dream. Like I would take them as a playoff matchup in a heartbeat. You're getting a sweep. You're playing a game 3 in Atlanta, and you're saying hi to Mark Schindler as you fly back to wherever.
Hey man, send all your tweets about what Dano just said straight to Dano, man. I'm not.
I'm such a hater.
Don't worry, don't send them to Dano.
You'll see my tears this week. I won't be nice. I mean, this is what I do. I love to hate professionally.
Hey, don't send it to me, man, because I know what it feels like. I can't. And I see what you're saying, but there's so many layers to it. Like it's not just surface level. To me, there's so many different things that happen that need to be considered. I can't just call it on the top level. I got to dig deep. So I don't know.
How about this? How about we?
I hear you though, Dano. I'm not mad at you.
We have a team here. I think Atlanta that we were talking about almost in the exact same way we were talking about Dallas last year.
Yeah,
almost in the exact same way. They have a great scorer, Ryan Howard, Arike Gumbua. They have a great second piece in Alicia Gray, and pick your Dallas second piece if you want to talk about Satu last year or Tierra or whoever. I think this team, Ari McDonald is a very good basketball player. I think her destiny is probably as a backup point guard in this league. I don't think having her, they don't have a point guard that can run that offense in the way that Dan is saying, or in the way that maybe Tanisha Wright is saying. I don't think they have that point guard who can do that yet. And I think they need that. And secondly, when you look at this box score, right? So Ryan Howard struggles in the second half. Well, then Alicia Gray has 27 points.
Yeah.
Why is that? Alicia Gray can play in those broken situations.
Yeah.
She can get an offensive rebound, turn it into points. She can get a steal, turn it into points. She can track someone down off their defensive rebound, get it back and turn it. She's kind of that player, man, this is going to sound bad, but like the garbage man. She grabs all the garbage that a team puts out there. She's turning into points for her team.
Yeah.
And so I think for Alicia, that's been her role. She's going to be that. They're just missing some pieces right now, and I don't think they're ready yet.
Yeah, they're probably.
I don't want to make excuses though, because I'm with you, Dan. I think there are scheme adjustments that need to be made. I think there's changes that need to come. It's just a team that hasn't had time, I think, to figure those things out.
For sure.
And I still think we have a long way to go on Ryan Howard. We have a long way to go on Ryan Howard, because when we look at Arike Gumbua rookie season through last year, it was far and away better than what Ryan's done. Not to take any shade away from Ryan. Ryan's been amazing. She's been one of the best rookies She was one of the best rookies in league history last year. She's a great player this year. Arike was better in terms of being a scorer.
Right.
Flat out. And she was better in college as well. So Howard needs to get better. If they're going to be in this Dallas stepping stone, Ryan Howard needs to be better. She can't be stopped. That's what has to happen. She needs to say, hey, I'm not 4 of 10. That doesn't work for me. I'm going to go 4 of 20. Dion Waiters mentality. I'd rather go 1 for 99 than 1 for 7, because 1 for 7 means I stop shooting. That's what I need from Ryan Howard. I know people are going to get mad about that, the inefficiency, blah, blah, blah. I don't care, Ryan. You need to just score. And so, look, I think this team is actually well built. I think Nia Coffey, Cheyenne Parker, they're great. They're dependent talents, though. They need a great offensive piece. They need that great offensive player to unlock them, and that has to be Ryan Howard. 4 of 10 ain't going to cut it. You have to make more, and you have to shoot more. And I'd rather you go 4 for 20. I'd rather you go 4 for 20, and that's it, because at least you're still taking those shots. You're being confident. You're understanding that this is your team, Ryan.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing to be in that position at this age. It's awesome.
Yeah. But she needs to understand that and it's tough because you're looking at Alicia Gray. I mean, and you're saying, hey, that's an Olympian, that's an all-star, that's a player who's been in this league, a vet that is coming in and trying to teach me everything. And there, I feel like there's just a little difference there. And it's like, Ryan, you got to take this by the horns and be that player. And I'm not trying to put this all on Ryan. I'm not trying to put this all on Tanisha Ray. I'm not trying to put this all on Alicia Gray. It's on everyone. This whole team needs to elevate themselves like the Wings have this year. And I think if they do this, they start getting together, maybe have a good run, maybe get to the playoffs, maybe they do get swept, but they make a good run. We're looking at a team next year that could be taking that leap forward. I still think they do need a point guard, and hopefully Cheyenne Parker gets back to where she was before the All-Star break.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're talking about a player like Ryan Howard, I mean, yes, she made the All-Star team this year, but she was taking the place of someone who was injured. Deladon, I believe, was the one. So I think when you have the confidence from your team, then you take more shots, right? That's just me. I mean, she's not going to bring it up, pull it, even though she did that one time. She's not going to do that every single time, right? So it's not just up to her to stay aggressive. It's also up to her teammates to keep her engaged and involved in the court-to-court sets, right? And look for her so she doesn't have to hunt those shots. And yes, she's going to get some transition opportunities, but it's not just up to her. Like, there has to be passes coming her way. There has to be, some schemes coming her way. Who's going to pin down and get her to come off so she can get to the rack? Who's going to give her a double drag at the top so she can fold over that and hit her threes that she knocks in over 2 threes a game? So let's understand that it's not just up to Ryan, and it is up to her on some level, but it's not an only up to Ryan situation here that we're talking about, right? Everyone else has to get her involved. Everyone else has to have the paintbrush in their hand too. It's not just Ryan up there trying to paint. Everybody has a piece of what they need to do to get her more engaged and to have more balance on the offensive end. And I also think that Parker, like you said, I mean, she's had a phenomenal season. Mm-hmm. And another player who I think could possibly be a most improved situation for her as well. Cheyenne Parker has been amazing. First time named to the All-Star team this year for her, because of what she was able to do in the first half of the year. And she'll get back to that. But I think when you have players who have shown glimpses of who they could be for this team, now they just need some time and some game reps to develop that overall chemistry and know where those shots are coming from and know when those shots are coming in the court. So it's not just up to Cheyenne to, stay aggressive and hunt touches. Okay. It's not just up to Ryan to hunt shots, right? It's up to the team to organize as a group collectively and not have it be so heavy on just 2 players. Let's spread the wealth a little bit. Let's understand that everyone can bring a little piece. And I'm sure that Tanisha Wright has discussed that. Yeah. And again, sometimes it just unfolds the way it does, and it happens bang, bang situations, and it's tough. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. And I just think that that's something that comes with time too. And I hate to, I'm always the one, right? It sounds like I'm the sunshine and rainbow person.
It don't happen by magic though, right, Christy? Like, you gotta get better with time. Everyone can take time. Time passes no matter what we do. You gotta get better. And so I think everyone in that franchise needs to get better. Yeah. Everyone needs to get better throughout the season to compete.
And I think they will. They will. But I don't think it's like one player changing themselves, all of a sudden, and then now all of a sudden everything's right with the world. No, I think it's a collective situation there where everything has to continue to build, right? And I think it'll be something to watch for sure. But I think they have it. I mean, they have what it takes, but I just think they need, like you said, time to.
I did not mean to compare Ryan Howard to Dion Waiters before people get mad at me, just for the record.
Did someone say that?
Oh, I said that. I was like,
I know you said it, but did someone bring
No, I'm just getting out ahead of that because it kind of sounded like. Dana, do you want to talk more about the Dream, or do you want to talk about our current favorite team in the league?
Yeah, get me off the Dream. Okay,
let's talk about the Lynx, baby. Oh, the Lynx upset City. I said before the game started, there was the 4 7-point favorites, and the Lynx came out and immediately upset the odds there. I don't know. Dano knows more about that.
Yeah, no, 13-point favorites is what the Sun were. And I texted Calvin Wetzel, and he's like, I'm leaning Sun today. And I'm like, all right, fine. I won't bet the Lynx. Gosh, what a mistake that was. It's definitely a letdown spot, right? You're coming off of an improbable win, not necessarily improbable. Liberty were on a back-to-back. It's a makeup game. It's a weird schedule. Liberty also know that in the back of their mind, they got to fly across country to LA. But the Sun were well rested, like 5 games rested. And Mohegan's not an easy place to play. Uncasville is one of the most miserable places I've ever been. I
send all your comments to his Twitter right there.
I've said some terrible things about Uncasville online. I'll stand by that take.
Connecticut's a great place.
Yeah,
great. Some other state. Parts of it, I'm sure, are great.
Chrissy, I just until the Houston Comments come back, I'm from Houston. I will definitely disregard some other cities.
Beyonce territory. Back there. Beyonce, I told Gabe knows. Beyonce. What? No, that's just my wishful.
Oh,
that's my wishful thinking that going to manifest that Beyonce is the owner of the.
Okay.
Houston. Put that.
I want to clip that, and I want to make that my alarm every morning. That's real manifestation.
But I mean, she'll see it.
But this is super similar, right, to the situation that the Mystics that we're talking about, like with dealing with injuries. You're missing your best player. People are talking about Nafisa Collier for an MVP, and you're getting these opportunities in big moments, in high pressure situations for bench players and other players who necessarily haven't stepped up all year to be focal points of the offense and defense. And I think we're seeing that the most with Caleb McBride in the last few games. 8 for 12 for 3 at one point in the last 2 games, and timely shots. I think it was tied at one point with or it was a 3-point game in the fourth quarter at New York. Kayla hits a pull-up 3 in transition, and it was tied in the third quarter against the Sun, and Kayla hits a 3 in that moment as well.
Yeah,
I love that Jessica Shepard's back and healthy. She was huge. Yes. Lindsay Allen may be we talked about underrated players before. Severely underrated. It's just such a fun team. Dorka, Juhas, I did not see. I mean, Gabe, we talked about it. You said you liked the pick, and I was like, maybe she makes the team. She's playing huge minutes and doing good things. Great. And of course, we have the Maryland legend, Diamond Miller, who I don't know if there's anybody who wants to win more than her. God, the passion is unbelievable. This team's impossible to root against. They're so fun.
It's so this team, I've always compared Cheryl Reeve to Pat Riley, Miami Heat level executive coach, because just like the way she's able to get so much of every single player that comes through, and finally we see Aerial Powers break through and break through not the minutes barrier, the injury barrier, everything to have a huge game. And we know AP Christie from her time here, and she was awesome. She was awesome today, and it was just so much fun, like you're saying, to see that team work so hard for everything that they got. Never gave up. They had 41 seconds left. They run a beautiful hammer action. The refs, I don't know what they saw. They call a foul because Dejanay Carrington ran into Lindsay Allen, who was just trying to get out of the way. They call a foul on Lindsay Allen. They review it. They confirm the call. A lot of teams break down there and say, say, well, yeah, hey, everything's against us. Let's pack it in. Lynx didn't even blink. They were playing against DeWanna Bonner, who had 31 points, and it was cooking. So there was just so much adversity against them, and they just said, no, we're not giving up. We're not packing in. We want this game, and we're going to do it no matter if Nafisa Collier's there, if Nafisa Collier's playing. I don't think it mattered who was playing. They were winning that game no matter what. And I think for the Sun on the other side, it was tough sledding because you're looking in the mirror right there, right? With two teams that just work so hard. And it just came down to the Lynx making a few more shots and the Sun not having another avenue to score outside DeWanna Bonner. But Christy, I want to get your thoughts actually on one. I didn't even mention this, but I had just had this thought that flooded into my head.
Talk to me.
Diamond Miller,
yeah,
2 of 7 today, not her best game. At times this year, though, she's looked a lot like DeWanna Bonner. Am I tripping? Is it a comparison a little like you squint, you see the length, you see the shooting, you see the playmaking, you see the driving. I think the defense, like they're very they're more similar than I thought they would be when Diamond was coming to the league.
Yeah, I hear you. You know what? I haven't thought about that comparison, so let me marinate with that. But while I'm marinating with that concept,
tell me about the Sun or the Lynx.
No. Let me tell you who I think Diamond Miller has reminded me of even last year at Maryland. Okay. I thought that Diamond Miller reminded me a lot of Nneka Ogwumike. I said that last year when she was playing because of her activity, like you said, Dano, her energy and passion, right? She stays on the glass. But what I think has impressed me the most this season so far about Diamond Miller is not her ability necessarily to score, which we knew about, okay? But her ability to make the proper pass at the right time. I think her passing ability this year has really stood out to me, to be one of her supreme qualities that she brings to the floor. And yes, she's only a rookie, but I think, over the last stretch of games, take today's game out. But the last stretch of games, like 4 or 5 games, she's averaging double figures and she's been solid on the glass. I think against Washington, I believe she had 9 assists last Wednesday. So I think she's really evolving. I think she's just feeling her way through. But I remember Brenda Freese, the head coach at Maryland, telling me last year as a senior that Diamond Miller, she hasn't coached a player who has just wanted to win more, right? Or worked as hard and just had this like fire about her. And she's coached Alyssa Thomas, right? She's coached these great players in the league. So when you hear her say that, and you know that Diamond's a baby, I think great things are on the horizon. And the fact, going back to what you said about her being kind of compared to DeWanna Bonner, I see that she's a little shorter. That's the only thing. But I don't know. It's just something about Nneka and Diamond to me that are kind of equating in my mind. And not to say that, Nneka is a vet. Okay, we get that. She's been MVP of the league. And then we're talking about a rookie. But can she become a player that's a stabilizing force that Nneka has become over the course of her fantastic career? I think that's a case that we need to examine a little bit.
You got me thinking here, like, if Nneka came up now, she's probably playing more like Diamond than she's a post player.
Interesting. Yeah.
She's a post player now. Okay. And, maybe she is still a post player, especially if she went to Stanford. Again, she would probably still be a post player. But, like, thinking about modern basketball now, she probably plays a little bit more like Diamond, initiating from perimeter. She initiates from the pinch and she initiates from the perimeter, but she's still coming out of the – she's a post.
Nice flip. Yeah.
But, like, if she came up now, Nneka's probably playing a little bit more like Diamond Miller than she is now. So that's a really interesting one and not one I would have – so that got the wheels turning.
I like the mental gymnastics of the flip on that.
That was
the
good.
Script, Gabe. I like that. No, it made me think too, because it's the game has changed analytically and spatially, if you will, and conceptually. So I could see that for sure. But I like the comparison with Bonner too. Just what she's able, she's able to stretch the floor, rebounds the ball well. It's just a balanced floor game. And again, with the energy, like, the passion, you can't measure that stuff. So, she's got a bright future for sure in the league.
I see her do this more than anybody else, but like anytime she makes a mistake, immediately, oh yeah, the kid's here.
Hey, it's my dog.
He loves Diamond.
That's my friend.
But she looks at the bench every time she makes a mistake, and it's like, yeah, that's me. Like, it's the self-awareness, the trust that Cheryl has in her. Like, I think she missed 2 huge free throws against New York, gets fouled, makes 2 right after that. Like, that's winning type stuff. You don't really teach those types of things. Those are special players who have that it. Like that's a player I want on my team and I go to war with. That's a player when I'm afraid to take a big shot. I definitely pass her the ball. She's happy to miss it, I mean, and when they get, like we're saying with the Mystics, you're getting all this valuable experience and you're getting feedback in a week. I was writing the links off a little bit because I had my pipe dream of Caitlin Clark going there to play with them. But now my new pipe dream is Caitlin Clark comes back for a 5th year. Phoenix is bad for 2 more years, and New York has that pick from Phoenix. So it's my new pipe dream.
I'm hoping somehow magically the Mystics get the number 1 pick next year because they have
that would be fun.
Yeah, get Caitlin here. Caitlin and Chrissy are like boys. They're like friends. They
oh yeah, Big Ten.
No, we're spirit animals. I'm telling you.
Wait,
like
spirit animals.
Not Big Ten or wherever else. Oh, we have the same kind of, I don't know, mental makeup. We have this vibe.
Just
they're homies.
Winners, cool as hell.
Dogs.
We also have this silly vibe. Like we connect on this plane of silly as well, which is fun. But we also have like this, laser focus on competitive fire that I kind of relate to with her.
You guys want to humor me really quick? I want to try a segment out here. See how this goes. Are you guys familiar with the show called College Football Final? Comes on every Saturday night in the fall after college football.
Sure.
I'm all hoops, so you're gonna have.
Okay. So there's a show. They may do a version of this on the Actually, they don't. In college football season. So in college football, for some teams, if you do something good, you get a helmet sticker, right?
Oh,
so like,
I've seen that.
Yeah. So in Ohio State, they have all like the little stupid
all over
like, the Buckeyes
loaded up.
Yeah,
I've seen that. Yeah, for sure.
I hate Ohio State, but it's a great idea. So on the show, not Ohio State women's basketball, crucially, our boys,
Wes.
The coaches there are great, and obviously we love JC and the Church of Cody. That's where I go to church.
Need to make shirts.
Yeah, we need the shirts of Church of Cody, like let's get the McMahon. But so on the show, they give out helmet stickers to players that maybe we didn't mention during the podcast that just did something that was above and beyond, impressed you. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone that we did not mention. It could be someone that we mentioned that we didn't talk enough about. It could be someone that we mentioned, but we didn't mention them in the way that you wanted to mention them. We want to give them a helmet sticker. We want to put a helmet sticker. I don't know what the basketball equivalent of this is. If someone wants to drop a comment as to what the basketball equivalent of a helmet sticker is, please let me know. But here I'll start with just to give you the idea of what we're doing here. So if I had like a helmet, a Seattle Storm helmet here, I would give Jordan Horston a helmet sticker because she came out, put up 17 points on, let me get the numbers here, 17 points, 7 of 11 from the field, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and the Storm break a 10-game win streak in like cruise over the Indiana Fever. And, it's just release of that pressure to get out of that 10-game losing streak, and they win. So I want to give Jordan Horston a special shout out with my helmet sticker.
Okay. All right. So for me, could I give a helmet sticker to Brittany Sykes and give her 6 of those jammies for getting 6 steals today? Can we do that? Is that fair?
I mean, you want to give about 6? Yeah, sure. That's fine.
She gets 6, man. She had 6 steals.
The helmet only has so much space.
Listen, she can put 3 on each side. Boom, there it is. She gets 6 of those things, man. Give her 6 of them. She was working. She had 25 points and 6 steals. It's Brittany Sykes for me.
Okay. Dano, you got a helmet sticker?
At first I was going to give it to Kia Stokes for not taking a 3 today. I'm just kidding.
Poor Kia. Leave Kia alone.
I'm not laughing Kia, me and you.
Kia's a champion. I don't think she cares what we say.
I love Kia.
All my comments to Dano, man. Dano,
she's a champ.
I don't know if Christy likes all my jokes. Okay.
No, man,
to the ring, Kia.
You're talking about my people. They're gonna come at me.
I love Kia.
Okay.
She's in my tier list every week, the same spot. All right, no, I'm giving one sticker to Rachel Banham's sideline attire. She wore this Michael Scott memorial T-shirt last game. Yeah, you gotta find it from the Tunnel Fits. It's fantastic. And if I had to give a real basketball one, it's for Jonquil Jones for the last week of finding her spot on this Liberty team, finding ways to be effective. I'm so proud of her. She's absolutely killing it.
Same. Give her some
I cannot find this, Dana. Oh, wait.
What, the Rachel Banham?
I found her dressed up as Dwight Schrute.
That's classic.
Well, honestly, this is a hilarious. I'm gonna put this up here just as a. Don't get mad at me again, YouTube. That was messed up. Give me a warning first.
Yeah, YouTube. What?
Yeah.
Not me.
Christy was not involved.
Not involved.
Christy's worried about all my scorching hot takes and getting shut down by YouTube.
That's right. That's why I have this water, man. This water is saving me. Okay, pinky out.
Oh yeah. The Mystics do the hard hat thing.
Yeah, they do the hard hat thing. I don't know.
So this is Rachel Banham dressed up as Dwight Schrute from The Office.
Oh my God, that's pretty good. That's actually very good. Bravo, Rachel. That's my talk too.
That's amazing.
She's such a cool human being. I would love to get her on the pod. Just talk. People forget she dropped 60 in college.
I was on that game and I almost passed out because I was on that game. Listen, and Kobe tweeted at her and said, "Oh my God, you just went totally insane in this game," and that is her favorite player. And he found out and tweeted at her, and they were tweeting back and forth after that game. And Ariel Powers had 42 points in that same game.
I need to go back and watch that.
Lisa Byington, shout out Lisa B. That's my girl. I need to reach out to her, by the way, but I'm gonna text you. But listen, that game was insane in terms of pace. It was obviously over 100 points, for both teams or something like that. It was so good though. It was like tennis. I was like, are we watching Venus and Serena or are we watching basketball? Because it was so fast. 60 of those things. And one of them she pulled legit right over half. And my headset was like this, and I was like into Lisa Byington like that, and just shoving everyone. It was one of those games where I'm just glad I was in the building.
That was at home, right? That was at home in the barn in Minnesota.
Yeah, and I couldn't sleep.
Great barn.
After that, I think I stayed up the night. My adrenaline was on 1,000, but that was so good. But Rachel Banham, a sweetheart of a young lady too. But yeah, that was a great comparison there.
I don't know if we're wrapping up or anything, but I do want to do a segment anytime I come on called Dano Ask Christy a Question.
I think Dano get Christy yell at Dano. That is a segment that we're going to be doing.
No.
Whenever we do this podcast again.
That's what we need.
That's fine. That's fine.
Christy makes Dano run laps.
Yeah, on the line, Dano. Yeah.
Coach, I'm sorry.
Yeah, on the line.
No, yeah, I'm so glad I never have to hear those words for the rest of my life. But I do want to ask, what of all the games that you've called, all the players you've seen, can't say Caitlin, it could be Rachel. I just want to know who's the player that you first saw and were or more than anyone else, just you could not stop thinking about the way they played basketball, and calling this game.
That is a great question. I don't think I've ever been asked that. So, okay, if we're going to do questions like this on a regular basis, I'll say like this because that's making me work, Dano.
I'm sorry.
Wow. No, I love it. I
think I know your answer to this question.
I've seen so many dynamic players play and dominate. You think
Cheryl Miller.
Oh, ever in the history ever? But he said called the game.
Who she's called?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wish I called Cheryl Miller. Shout out to Cheryl Miller though, but I have a story about that. We was just not here or there at the moment.
That on this podcast.
That was, yeah. I love her. And saw her in Dallas for the Final Four. But anyway, that's another discussion for another day. But oh my God, the player that just brought me out of my chair. Oh my gosh. I'm rattling through like name after name. And you said I can't say Caitlin Clark. Okay. I'm gonna say Megan Gustafson.
Ooh.
I'm gonna take it there because listen, she had 48 points in the Big Ten tournament. Okay. And it was just a full-on display of post moves 101. And it was old school basketball. It was back to the basket. The ball's not even over half court. And she's moving the defender up the lane and wrapping that leg around and sitting down in the man, listen. If you haven't seen that game, I'm sure it's somewhere on YouTube or somewhere. Shout out to YouTube.
Love you, YouTube.
Hey, YouTube, but hey, she was phenomenal in that game, and I lost my mind because it was to the point where, okay, she's hot, but can she keep it up? And I was saying that after the first quarter, and then after the third quarter, I'm like, oh my God, she's keeping it up. And then, oh my God, she has the tournament record for points. Yeah. And I was on that game, and it was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah. And I don't know if it's a championship game. I think it was the semis. But it was ridiculous. And Jan Jensen, the assistant coach there, Lisa Bluter, head coach, Jan Jensen is the post coach there.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And Monica Sonano came right after her, like just, building the old school post. Hey, we're still out here, old school post players, back to the basket. Even though I faced up, I was pinch post, mid range. But I had my little up and under,
Yeah.
where I can get around people and then get out of there. But I wasn't like they were, like just solid, just getting their positioning. And the way that she was unstoppable was just, it was ridiculous. So I'm going with Megan Gustafson.
Thank you.
Made me dig for that though.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. It was awesome. No, I love that. But
I haven't answered this question too, actually.
I
have not called as many games as Christy has, obviously.
Yeah, you have called games.
But who did you
In college, at the University of Miami, I called a bunch of women's basketball games.
You're going to say Miami.
Well, no, wait. So we played Florida State. I looked at the schedule. So it says this was in, the January 9th. That makes sense. All right. So January 9th, 2014, Natasha Howard came in with her Florida State Seminoles and put up 27 points and 18 rebounds, along with 3 blocks and 2 steals, and single-handedly beat the Miami Hurricanes. Dang. And I'm looking at her season I'm looking at this season for her senior year. It's insane the numbers she put up. She put up 40 at Syracuse. She put up 35 at Maryland back when they were rightfully in the ACC. She put up 30 against Miami in the tournament, 29 against Miami in the tournament, and she put up 28 and 22 against Duke that year. So Natasha Howard was my answer for that question in terms of
I love that.
Dang.
Love
that was when Sykes was at Syracuse, right?
Ooh, I think this was Sykes' time.
Maybe she may have been a pinch older than Brittany.
Nope. You are correct. You are correct.
Good. Because
I think this is Brittany's sophomore year.
Yeah.
Right?
Boom. Yeah.
Yeah. That was my senior year when I was averaging a cool 5.9 points per game.
How many charges? How many total charges?
Totally.
I don't remember the exact number. I gotta ask Coach.
I'm having Dano come down to our high school games to teach our kids how to take charges. I'm excited.
2-way. No 2-way. You're 1-way.
1-way.
Hardcore. I like it.
1 way to the floor.
1-way.
Exactly.
Just to the floor.
That was the way Dano played.
Exactly. It was get in, do work, get treatment, get beers. That's the way I operated.
On that note, Christy, take us home before we get in trouble with YouTube.
I'll tell you the ice and the treatment and all that, but the beers, I don't know. Hey, look, I had a blast chopping it up with you guys. And thank you all for joining us right here on the Her Hoop Stats Podcast Network for Courtside with Christy and Gabe and Dano. Send all the comments down here to him, his little X, Twitter and all that's down there. But anyway, a lot more hoops on the horizon in the WNBA. Make sure you stick with us. Lock in right here. Every time we pop up, just lock in and join us. We love to have the conversation, especially about women's hoops, and get the word out to people that watch the WNBA. We like to take you there and have the mental gymnastics about it all. But until next time, we will catch you courtside at the next game. And Gabe, that's it, honey.
That's it.
We don't have to go home.
I have to end broadcast. Everybody wave.